What are you handing out?
Gun Save Lives stickers.
Do they?
Yes,
Newport
they
News
do.
Police Department just killed a man on the 28th of December with a gun. He didn't save his life.
They save a whole bunch of other people with guns.
The police
They
do.
have through history. Oh, absolutely. That's
They
why you
do.
call them.
We disagree.
I don't agree with you on that at all.
But
What other rights do you stand up for besides the Second Amendment?
All the rights.
Do you?
Yes.
so the First Amendment.
So what, you were here last time with a First Amendment sticker?
I was here with these stickers.
So not the First Amendment, the Second
he's,
Amendment.
He's practicing his First Amendment by using those.
Well, I'm just asking. I mean, before the governor and the General Assembly started their grab for your guns, how many times did you come down to City Council to stand up for the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment?
2015, we were here with the same thing.
2015 about guns.
Yes, sir.
So I'm asking you about the First,
I have
the
practiced
Fourth.
that day. I'm practicing it now.
Have you ever stood up for the Fourth Amendment? Do you believe that police should use canines to inspect people's vehicles during traffic stops?
Why not?
Because it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment against illegal searches and seizures.
Is it illegal if you've consented?
Not if you consent it, but what if
I
you
didn't
don't
say consent. But when they coerce people, the good guys with the guns, they coerce people
Do
into...
you have any illustrations of where they have done it without consent?
Well-
If
You're in
so,
Newport
then
News, my friend. Every day you should come up to Denby.
It happens often.
Me too.
Nice try. Try again.
You should go out there. You should hang out by Aqueduct.
Well, no, it's not. It's about people who have opinions, and the Gun Save Lives people have quite a voice. And so, you know, we are concerned about the fact that we seem to have a lot of people who are standing up for a certain amendment. And the way that I view it, in my personal experience, is that one, there are many people who have been made felons in this country simply for possessing a firearm that the federal government says is illegal. And if we're going to believe in the Second Amendment, it says shall not be infringed. So that means that it doesn't say shall not be infringed unless you're a felon. And there's been a lot of silence about that. Now that it's the people who call themselves law-abiding, those people now have an issue with it. And I believe that if you allow and you applaud the government enforcing, making people felons for owning not doing anything with the gun, having possession of a gun that they say is wrong, then you consent to all gun regulations. If you are okay with one side, this part here, and usually what they do is they call those people criminals. But I don't know how you could be a criminal just by practicing your Second Amendment right. And then what we have is now we have people that call themselves law-abiding. And the Second Amendment is the law. That is the supreme law.
Agreed.
But there are people that are most likely sitting in jail right now or in prison for just simply possessing a gun. Not that they did any crime with it, not that they did, just because they had a particular gun that somebody said is not allowed. I mean, the two that I know of that offhand is a sawed-off shotgun and the I think it's a Tommy gun. Those are the two in the federal that are considered. If you just own them, the federal government can come in and make you a felon. So I don't understand why the Second Amendment hasn't been being talked about way before now.
What has?
Well,
We've been doing this for 20 plus years.
Do you support felons having guns?
Why would I support felons having guns?
So then you don't think that the rights apply to everybody, only to people you're
Have
choosing?
their rights been restored?
Why? How do
Everybody's
rights get
situation is
restored?
different.
Rights can't be taken. It's not a right if it can be taken as a privilege.
Okay. If the governor is giving those rights back,
Give them. You
Because
can't give a right back.
Well, then
God gave me the rights.
Hold on,
Yeah,
but then
I
that's-
can't. I'm not gonna be able to deal with it.
Hold on, I want to say something. But then that means that what you're saying to me is that in this situation, is that let's say they pass all the laws, which I know yesterday they pretty much it's on at least on to the next step up in the General Assembly. What you're telling me is that my opinion of you should be, you know, I have no criminal record. I can own any gun at this point that I want. But what you're saying to me is that I should look at you and tell you that I don't need to stand with you because what you can do is if they come into your home and they take whatever gun it is that they're trying to take, then you can turn around and you can go fight it in court and then you can ask the governor for your rights back. I mean, is that the process that you want to go through, or do you feel like that's a violation of your amendment rights? I understand, but what I'm saying to you is at this particular point in time, that would be the same thing that I could say to you, is that we allow the government to do what the government wants, and then you can go fight in the court system to get it back.
what we're doing is petitioning our representatives right now. We don't. I'm not sure where the
Well, I understand. I'm pretty sure that somebody who was made a felon just for possessing a gun didn't want their rights infringed either. And what you just said to me is, well, the governor can give it back to you. Well, I can say the same to you. If you don't like what it is, then if they pass the laws, then you can go through the system and then you can ask for your rights back. Or hand over your guns. I mean, that's the two options. But I mean, that's what you're saying to me as far as people that have previously done it, that have previously had this issue. That's what you're saying, is that they can ask for them back. So I guess you're done with the conversation.
No, just making sure I can hand out stickers.
So I mean, that's just my question to you, because there's a lot of people in this community that
You have their name?
My name is Chris McVeigh. I've been a felon since I was 15 years old. I lost my rights. Well, you keep saying petition the governor that you hate, and the governor that you don't want to take your rights, but you were fine with them taking my rights. Where were you standing up? You just said that you felons shouldn't have guns.
Did I say I hate it anyway? Thank you.
well, okay.
Should felons be allowed to possess weapons?
Depends on their situation.
Does it? So it's not a right. It's a privilege because there's conditions attached to it.
If you didn't break the law,
Well,
you were exactly correct.
Well, then we're going to end the conversation. We're going to end the conversation with this, and this is my opinion out there, is that
You need some? Oh no, there's a bunch more.
if you allow any gun regulations, then you consent to all of them, and you can't just say that a shot-off shotgun or Tommy gun is a problem. The government gets to tell you if your AR-15 is a problem too.
No, you can own it. Tommy gun.
Well,
As long as you jump through a bunch of hoops through the federal government, right? But so you've accepted those regulations
I'm saying we would work to remove them, but that's what we're trying to do.
with Newport News City Council. You're working to remove federal restrictions on automatic weapons.
He's saying that he has tried B2 before. Is that what you're saying? That you've been in the process of trying to make these things not federally illegal?
We're always working to remove restricted rights from That's what we do.
As long as they're not felons. Because then they should beg the governor for their rights back.
I understand.
You can actually go and try to get that process done legislatively.
Yeah. Well,
How would you recommend we do it?
If it's a right, there shouldn't be any restrictions at all.
It sounds like there are, and either you will follow them or you won't. It's up to
Yeah.
you.
Either you will follow them or you won't.
yeah, that's
your
the
decision.
question.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for people like you who have stood silently by while fellow Americans have had the rest of their amendments violated for decades. I've told you the First, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth, the Ninth, and the 14th Amendments.
Why are your rights removed? That's all I'm asking.
I was convicted of possession of a sawed-off shotgun at the age of 15 in the city of Virginia Beach, and I've been a felon now for 27 years.
How did that go down? I mean, were you walking down the street?
Nope. It was in my closet because I found it laying in the street and I took it home, and then a friend of mine took it to school and got caught with it. And me not knowing what I know about the government then, I made the mistake of being honest with the police department, who then used that as a confession and convicted me of this felony. So for 27 years I've been without these rights, and I haven't seen anybody saying that I should get my rights back unless I want to go beg whoever the current governor is.
And that is what it is.
And that's not what rights don't get begged for. Rights are given through God according to the documents that everybody wants to stand on.
You work with others to try to.
Work with who?
Why not VCDL? Why not ask that?
I've called VCDL this whole past week and nobody answers the phone.
Well, there's a couple people that answer. Just leave a message.
I've called 4 of them, but that's beside the point. You see, you're talking about this process. We're talking about rights. If there are restrictions on something, it's not a right. It's a privilege. So that's what it comes down to. I shouldn't have to beg somebody for a right that the document says God gave me.
It's kind of like going into city council, okay? Well, you go into city council, there's certain scripture that I would be disallowed to speak of in city council because it could be considered that it was Matthew 26. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, because that's considered an attack, which is what Christ would he said. So that could be in trouble for disorderly conduct in here for that, I believe. I think they could find a reason to.
In a violation of your First Amendment.
Disorderly conduct. That's scripture. So if you go inside here and you say something.
But try it. So you're saying that?
Oh no! I'm not going to try it. Newport News Police Department hates me already. But the point of it is that the First Amendment says shall not be abridged, and we all are going to go in here and we're all going to consent to being abridged because there's things that people would say at their kitchen table that they won't say inside of here, and that's just the truth. So, it's the same with the Second Amendment. It's not supposed to be, as long as the government says that we can do it, we can do it. It's supposed to be actually to keep the government in line, not to keep us in line.
And we agree with that.
And it has turned into that.
We have consented to that. Unfortunately, I agree.
Well, I have not consented because I don't vote. I don't vote specifically because that is considered to it. I don't want to be a part of a system that is, at least my lifetime.
You're off the grid.
Well, I'm registered to vote. I just don't. So, and that's out of protest because that's the way that things work. Is that I get told by the government what I can and can't do when my Constitution was by my founding fathers was made so that way I could tell the government what they can and can't do. And the majority of people, and especially in this area, are very much into taking orders rather than holding the government accountable.
Well, we're all here to talk to the government.
Well, I realize that, but I
like the system or
understand
hate it,
that.
that's just how it's set up. So,
And
but you
who
can
set-
try
but
to work.
Who set it up?
We did. It's Virginia.
Are you taking your gun inside?
Huh?
Are you taking your gun inside?
Yes, it's
You,
legal.
you're going to take guns in there
Absolutely.
because you think that facilitates civil conversation with the government. I'm just curious.
We're on different planes.
How does it stop civil conversation?
I don't know. Would you feel very comfortable if I walked in there with a baseball bat? Do you think they would find that would be okay? You wouldn't have any problem with that?
Are you a threat to me? Or are you a threat to yourself?
If you have a weapon, then you're potentially a threat to anybody.
To anybody,
No, I
at any
disagree.
particular point in time.
I disagree. It's your it's your right. If that's what you want to do for self-preservation, bring your bat, brother.
Okay, and what about the Virginia laws that say you can't have knives over a certain length? Do you work against
I know
that?
we're getting into details. What it is
I mean,
is
that's
that-
just- I don't
know,
understand.
but what the basis of it is what we have found out is that he believes that everybody should be able to have guns unless they're a criminal, which is in violation to the Second Amendment. And
Again, we all
And he doesn't want to be a criminal.
And that we believe that this is the way that we deal with things. We have the government tell us how we can express ourselves, and we work within those confines, and we hope maybe something will change.
Or work
But
to
it
change
hasn't,
those
right? Because you've been
confines.
doing this now for how long?
So we've made strides for over 20 years.
20 years.
Looks like we're going backwards. But
Well-
that's why we're here.
I feel like we never really moved forward. So, and unfortunately, when I've learned the history of things, I was born in '81, which is when the mass incarceration really started in this country. That's all I've ever known. And it wasn't until I'd say the last 5 to 6 years I really started to realize how much we're willing to put people in prison
Have a good night.
and not be concerned about it. And then our law-abiding citizens call them criminals. So.
Anyways,
All
yeah, I'm going to stop this one because now it's time to start the live feed. So
Okay.
that was Second Amendment chat with the guy with the stickers.